right, man. It's been exciting with these rankings, right?
I know for
Yes, it
you,
did.
yeah, we all know what Dan is excited about in these rankings.
All right. Hey, you know what? What would the playoffs be like if we didn't have something special from Ms. Renee the Barber? I know I've been talking to her. We got one special one coming up. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. So let's take a quick look.
Back with another recipe, this time game day jerk chicken. Sure to be a crowd pleaser. Great value Caribbean jerk wing seasoning mix delivers a sweet, smoky, and spicy flavor profile. Pick it up at your local Walmart, and don't forget, plenty of napkins. Using 2 pounds of chicken pieces. First, we're going to rinse the chicken, then we're going to pat dry, spray our pan with non-stick spray. Then we're going to sprinkle our Caribbean spices over one layer, evenly over the chicken. My good friend Bruce stopped in today. You see his hat, Ohio State. Go Bucks! Go Bucks.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Bruce, thanks for stopping by.
All right, Renee, you take care. God bless.
Look who else is here.
Hey, Shorty, talking college football with Luke every Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Time.
Check him out.
All right.
Hit that like button. Tell him that Miss Renee the Barber sent you.
Whoa! She does a special meal for us for every game day weekend.
Yes, I do. Bye.
Bye!
Those pieces at 400 for 1 hour. Now, 10 minutes before the chicken is fully cooked, you're going to remove from the oven, turn, and remove the lid. Place it back in the oven for the last 10 minutes. All right, we're done. Ready to serve. I can smell it now. Go ahead. Like, share, comment, and follow. Subscribe, and I'll see you next video.
Let's eat, as Jameis Winston was
Well, hey, thank you, Renee. That was fantastic. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of the process. All right, guys, what'd you think of that one? All right, we'll give it a shot.
I can't complain. I don't cook, so yeah.
Yeah, I was glad that my friend Bruce had a chance to come up. He's a big Buckeye fan, so that worked out pretty good. All right, guys, last night, Tuesday, November 4th, in addition to the elections, we had the CFP rankings. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the top 12. Who's got the top 12? Who wants to do the top 12? List it for us, please.
I could do it. Okay. So, you know what? I'll start with 13, actually. Right on the bubble, we have Utah in the top 12.
Well, Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, can I interrupt just for a second?
Sure.
Start at 14.
14. All right. 14. Yeah, a good idea. 14, we have Virginia, 8-1. That's the highest ranked ACC team we have right now. So, no matter what happens, if they went out, if everybody else in the ACC somehow magically won out, one of those teams is going to jump one of these teams that's above them because the ACC has won their ACC championship. Automatically puts somebody in the college football playoff. So maybe ranked number 14 right now, and even if they finish the season 14, they could jump somebody above them. Then at number 13, we have Utah. Utah, already said that. Possibly competing for a Big 12 in the spot in there. And we have Oklahoma at number 12, also 7-2. And right behind the rival who beat them earlier in the year, Texas, 7-2 at number 11. Then at number 10, we have Notre Dame, 6-2. And 9, we have Oregon, who is 7-1. Texas Tech at 8-1. Just one spot behind the team they're going to play this weekend. BYU, undefeated. And number 6, Ole Miss, 7-1. Who is also 7-1. Number Alabama is 7-1. And then his top 3, all 3 undefeated teams. Texas A&M, 8-0 at number 3. Number 2 is Indiana.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, guys, in the top 25, what do you guys think? Are there any misses in there? Should anybody be there? Anybody too high? Anybody too low? What do you think?
Well, I think when we look at these rankings, the first thing, and I think this is the thing that jumps off to the page for everyone, is them ranking Notre Dame in the top 10 I think that is a huge teller on what they feel about Notre Dame. They are the only two-loss team in the top 10. And if you're Dan, like this is just a great sign that you still have a shot to make the playoffs as a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah, I
Okay.
I kind of agree. I mean, I obviously the Notre Dame top 10 stands out to me, but what stands out a little more is kind of on the same side, being all the way number 18 with the exact same record and the head-to-head win over Notre Dame. I know they just had a tough loss a few weeks ago, but 18 low for Miami. Um, but other than that, it looks pretty good. I was surprised to see Iowa so high, especially compared to how the AP has been ranking them. But I think that 20 is a good spot for Iowa. We didn't read that one off, but that Iowa is up number 20 right now, and Miami is number 18. Um, but yeah, those Miami is the biggest.
Yeah, and that
Hey, Dan, I thought you brought up a pretty good point when you mentioned that Iowa at number 20. You mentioned how the AP didn't even have them ranked. And I think what needs to be said is you got a lot of guys, unlike us, we watch all the football games. When we were doing our rankings on a weekly basis, we specifically watched every team. That's why we had a very strong top 12. Our top 12 actually mirrors what the CFP has for its top 12. What's interesting is so many people in the AP. There's too many voters. First off, we had 14 voters in our poll. The AP has hundreds, and they're not watching the games, so they miss a team like Iowa, who at 6-2, who took Indiana, all the way down, to Indiana winning by 5. They missed that team completely. They kept missing early on Illinois, and certainly they missed on USC and Michigan. So you brought up a good point, Dan, when you said that the AP missed on the Iowa team. That's pretty good. So let's break this thing down just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the conferences, where they stand, and the teams that they have alive. And we'll go in alphabetical order. So we'll do the ACC first, the Big 12, Big 10, SEC, the independents, and the group of 5. Okay? So let's talk about how many teams right now are from the ACC are in this top 25. Because the reason why we had to talk about the 25 is that this is going to be relatively fluid.
Count it out.
So right now,
Go ahead.
oh no, you got it.
Oh yeah. Like I talked about before, Virginia is the top ACC team, but they're only ranked at number 14. And then you have 4 more ACC teams behind them. Kind of foreshadow that one as well with Miami at number 18. But also there's Louisville right behind Virginia. They're number 15. Georgia Tech, with their one loss now, is at number 17. Miami, like we said before, 18. And then if you look all the way near the bottom, number 24 is Pitt. So that's another team that was surprisingly ranked. They haven't got any rankings for the playoff.
So how many ACC teams are there right now that made it in the first ranker? 5?
5. Yep.
All right. How many we got? So let's go ahead, Anwar, let's talk about the Big 12. How many Big 12 teams? And do a quick analysis just like Dan did.
Okay. So in the Big 12, they have BYU, Texas Tech, Utah. Just 3. Yeah, just 3. Cincinnati, following that loss last weekend, bad loss to Utah, got knocked all the way out of the top 25. We had a lot of expectations from Cincinnati, and still with only one conference loss, so they're still totally in play for that Big 12 title game. Actually, right now in the Big 12 standings, they would be above Utah with 2 conference losses. Right now, it seems that this next week's game of BYU versus Texas Tech is going to be. Well, I mean, those are the 2 leaders right now. But even with the loss, BYU can still make the Big 12 conference championship because they're undefeated. So yeah, I think the Big 12 race, it kind of comes down to these 4 teams. I think Utah is actually a step down below the Cincinnati. Even though they got the head-to-head win against Cincinnati, they have 2 conference losses, while Cincinnati still has only 1. So Cincinnati is still above them in line for that Big 12 championship. But this weekend's going to be huge for the Big 12.
Okay. So I got the Big Ten. Let's see. I think there's 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Big Ten teams. So we got on the bottom, starting at number 23, you got Washington. Again, somebody that the AP missed, right? All along. Michigan at 21, Iowa 20, USC at 19. So they're all clustered right together. We don't know, is the Big Ten going to get 4? If they're going to get 3, we don't know that just yet. Then at the top, you got Oregon at 9, Indiana at 2, and Ohio State at 1. So let's do the SEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that, Dan or Anwar? Who's got the SEC up?
Yeah.
We can do this.
Just a quick count. We have 9 SEC teams, and it looks like 6 in the top 12. But I got to remember those bottom 2 teams in the top 12 because the ACC team is going to jump them, and then the Group 5 team is going to jump them. The 9 teams that we have in the top 25 right now, starting with number 3, Texas A&M, and you have number 4, 5, Georgia, 6, Ole Miss, top 10 right there. Then you jump down to number 11, we have Texas, Oklahoma, and then jump down a little bit more to number 16 is Vanderbilt. Then let's see, number 20.
Okay. Anwar, you got the independents.
Yeah, sure. So right now, in terms of independence, obviously you have Notre Dame. We talked about them before, looking very good for that playoff spot. They could, especially with Notre Dame and that loss to Miami, I feel like it's going to be hard for the committee to put in both. If they're both at the end of the season with 2 losses, it's going to be tough for the committee to put in Notre Dame over Miami. Say Miami goes with finishes the season with 2 losses, doesn't make the ACC championship game. How are you going to leave out Miami? How are you going to leave out Miami and put in Notre Dame, even though Miami has the head-to-head win? So that's going to be tough. But still, if I was a Notre Dame fan, I would be looking to see that I was in the top 12. And that's what you see. And especially that they have me so highly ranked over Miami. I think that, man, just got to say, if I can imagine some angry Miami fans if Notre Dame gets in with the same record as them. But that's where we're
clearly
at. So.
I think it's clear that the committee values Notre Dame because they have them at 10, which is a safe spot. And we'll talk about that in a few seconds. Let me talk about the group of 5 right now. If you notice, since that's my section of group of 5, there's no group of 5s listed, right? So that means that big game this weekend, which is Memphis and Tulane, that's going to go a long way. Yeah. So right now, the reason why when we first started talking about this top 12, I had Dan start at 14 because from the 8th, we know that each conference gets a team into the playoffs. So right now, you'd be looking at, from the Big Ten, you're looking at Ohio State. From the SEC, you're looking at Texas A&M. From the Big 12, right now, you're looking at BYU. Now, those are all top 10 teams. Now you go to the number 4 conference, and that is the ACC because they got 5 teams listed, but you have to drop all the way down to number 14, Virginia, right? And now the 5th conference would be the group of 5, and there's nobody from the group of 5 in the top 25. So that means if you are Texas and Oklahoma, right now you're the first 2 out. Virginia's the first in, and They're not showing it, but we're going to say for records right now, Memphis would be the next one in. So that would give you the 5 conference teams that would be in there. And then we go to the next section that we need to talk about. And that's taking a little bit deeper dive as to we think who's actually going to be in and who's actually going to be out. So we can look at each of these conferences, and let's say this. We got 5 teams from the ACC. Do you really think they're going to get 5, or do you think they're just going to be a one-and-done conference?
I could. Yeah. I think right now, the way the things stand, the ACC championship is still not decided. It looks like currently it will be Virginia Tech or not Virginia Tech, Virginia and Louisville, and they've got those teams ranked 14, 15. So yeah, I think they'll leave out the loser of the ACC championship game right now and potentially put in Miami. So I could see 2. But I think that second team could potentially be Miami, unless it's Louisville, because Louisville has the head-to-head win over Miami at this point.
Mm. So let's continue with this along the same line. So let's look at the Big 12 again. Are they a one-and-done conference, or do they get multiple teams in? Because right now they only have 3 teams in the top 25.
Yeah, I think that they may be hinting at that. There's only going to be. I think it's intentional that they put BYU and Texas Tech right back to back with each other. They're going to play each other this week and then possibly again in a few weeks in the conference championship.
All right.
How it goes, I think if they split those 2 games, they could end up both getting in. If one of those teams wins 2 in a row, especially if it's BYU and Texas Tech comes out with 3 losses, I don't know if they're going to let Utah come in.
All right. So let's go to the next one, which is the Big 10, which has 7 teams here. Are we just 3 teams from the Big 10? Are we looking at 3 and done, or do you think maybe 4?
Well, I think in terms of all these conference races.
Well, no, I want answer the question. Answer the question. You'll see where we're going with this in a second. But answer the question.
Yeah, I know, but let me. I will. But I want to say the Big 10, and not with the conference race, but with the getting into the playoffs thing. I think the conference title for the Big 10 is pretty set, but I think how many teams is very much dependent on what goes on at the end of the season, because you have Iowa, USC, Michigan, and Oregon. All these, especially this USC, Iowa, Oregon, it's like a triangle. Like these 3 teams just like play each other at the end of the year. Big games coming up in the Big 10, coming up at the end of the season. And then obviously you got Michigan. I don't expect Michigan to beat Ohio State this year. So I think Michigan's out. And I think the Big 10 gets 3 right now, if I'm going to be honest. I think the Big 10 gets 3. Ohio State, Indiana, and then whoever wins out between that trio of USC, Iowa, and
All right. And then the next one we have on the list is SEC. So Anwar, you just said 3 from the Big 10? Okay. Dan, you agree with him there?
I do too. I like you said, with ACC and Big 12, it seems like they're pretty set on either Big 12 2 teams max, I think, and then ACC 1 team max. But Big 10, that, like he was saying, Iowa, USC, Oregon all play each other, and Michigan coming, Ohio State. So those could be big. But if sorry to go back to Big 10, I could see Oregon falling out. They have a tough schedule coming up. If they lose one of those games, they may get replaced by the team that beat them. But
Okay.
sorry, back to the SEC, like your question.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they're in playoff position right now, and I think that's what it's going to end up being. There's a chance I can see Texas hopping somebody. Maybe Texas will jump the loser of this coming Big 12 game.
Okay.
Texas
So
has
now
Texas
we
A&M
got
and Georgia coming up at the end of the year, though. That's tough schedule for them. I think Texas is kind of done.
all right. We'll come back to this because this is leading us someplace dark someplace really dark. There's only one independent. So, and right now they're in. That's right now we would say that Notre Dame's in, right? They're safe. Are they safe? All right.
Safe.
You know, the
I
only
would say
Notre
they're in
Dame's
right
not
now.
safe.
the only
I don't
way
think
I
they're
can see
safe.
Okay. All right. And then
All right, hold on. But what I want to go back to this one more time though. If Miami doesn't make the ACC championship, finishes with 2 losses, Notre Dame finishes the season 2 losses. Are they putting both Miami and Notre Dame in, or are they keeping both of them out? What do you guys think?
No, I don't think Miami gets in now. I think based on where they're ranked in the top at number 18, I think the committee's kind of shown.
okay. And from that group of 5, where do you guys stand on that?
It seems to be pretty solid in Memphis because Notre Dame is probably going to beat Navy next week. Navy already took a loss, and Memphis already has the head-to-head against USF. They're higher in the conference standings over against North Texas. Still need to pull off a win against Tulane this week, but I think Tulane also has 2 losses. So right now it seems pretty solidly Memphis as long as they do what they're supposed to do and win out.
Yeah, I think that
Okay. So I guess they have this analysis that ESPN does. Memphis has a 57% chance to get in, but there's 2 teams that nobody's talking about. Excuse me. In the in the group of 5, James Madison and San Diego State. I think you need to keep an eye on San Diego State out in the Mountain West because I know the AAC is looked at as being the higher, and as far as the hierarchy is concerned, at least this year until maybe next year when the new Pac-12 is available. But I think that we need to keep an eye on what San Diego State does. Okay.
Forgot about
So
them.
here's what's wrong.
No, I just said I forgot about them.
Okay.
Literally, nobody is covering San Diego State. That's a good point. Nobody is talking about them, truly.
So this is what's going to happen the way you guys just laid this out. This is going to be right now 1, 2, 5, 9 between the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and SEC. You got 9 spots that you guys have allocated. Then you've allocated Notre Dame 10, and you've allocated one group of 5, which gives us 11. So the balance of power comes down to either the Big 10 gets 3 and the SEC gets 4, or the Big 10 gets 4 and the SEC gets 4, or the Big 10 gets 3 and the SEC gets 5. And if the SEC gets 5, then this becomes the SEC Invitational. And that's why I had you guys do that little walkthrough right there, analysis of who's in, who's not in. Because there's going to be a lot of people pissed off if this becomes the SEC Invitational. Except for those people in the SEC.
yeah.
Thoughts on that? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Pushback? Feedback?
Yeah, I mean I agree. I think one of the reasons why SEC has been good, there's I don't know, fishy stuff going on maybe, but the SEC's teams, like Georgia lost to Alabama, so their only loss is to another one of their top teams. I think the good teams in the SEC kind of know each other, whereas in the Big Ten, who's not ranked, and they also lost to Notre Dame, who's not in their conference. Like a lot of these teams, their losses don't look as impressive, but because those SEC teams are already ranked high, those are the teams that they're losing to. They kind of
Yeah.
Anwar, do me a
So
favor.
right now,
Pull up the USC remaining schedule.
USC.
They got Oregon, right?
Yeah, USC
Coming
has
up.
Oregon coming up soon. Yeah, they do. I can tell you who they got left. So USC, they've got Iowa and Oregon. See, I told you it's like a triangle. and Michigan is not in this conversation. Michigan is still in the conversation for the Big Ten championship, but this triangle of teams that pretty much have to remain playing each other are USC, Iowa, and Oregon. It's basically a round robin between those three. They basically all
Okay.
play each other.
So I would go so far as to say this. Oregon, well, first off, USC's 6-2, but what Dan just said is their loss is outside of the conference. So that 6-2 is not a 6-2 that, say, Oregon would have, which would mean that their two losses would be conference losses, right?
I think USC's losses are both conference losses.
No, they lost to Notre Dame and they lost to Illinois.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
So if that's the case, I think just looking at this, realistically, I could see the Big Ten getting 4, even with an Oregon loss, provided that loss is only to USC. If they lose to Iowa, I can't see them getting in. Okay. And then let me tell you something. Anwar, you've seen me mad when the Buckeyes lose, and you know how I get. If Michigan beats them this year, we might not have a show the very next Tuesday, just to let you
Listen,
know.
I can say, as also an Ohio State fan, this year it doesn't matter because Ohio State's going to be in the playoffs either way.
That puts Michigan in the playoffs. That's what pisses me off. If they beat us, potentially could put them in the playoffs.
Potentially, but
it would knock us out of the Big Ten championship, right?
USC,
which might not be a bad thing.
Right, you get an extra week. I see that's the reason why. The one reason why it just doesn't matter to me is because I believe that Ohio State is like a lock right now, pretty much.
Okay.
I feel like the top 3 teams in the country are a lock already, including Texas A&M. So
okay.
Yeah, I think that's the top 3.
All right, so we've kind of already whittled this down as to who's really in, who's really out. We're saying that the top 8 teams are definitely in. So that's Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and BYU. I'm even going to say probably.
Georgia's got a tough rest of the schedule. Georgia's got a tough
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so now you guys are starting to put Fishers in there. So that then brings us to who's really in and who's really out. Let's go like this. 5 teams that we know are absolute stone cold locks to be in. Let's go from there. Dan, give me your 5 teams that you are saying that I don't care what happens, these 5 teams are in. Dan first, then Anwar, and then I'll give you my 5.
Yeah, and starting with Ohio State, then Indiana, Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss.
Dang, this dude said the exact same one as me. I was gonna say those exact same 5 teams. The 5 teams that are locked. I previously just said Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and then following that, I'd also go with Alabama, Ole Miss. The toughest game remaining on Alabama's schedule is Oklahoma. I think they'll win that. Still a tough game, but even with the second loss, I think they're in because their first loss is a non-con, and they would still be in the SEC championship. And then Ole Miss, joke of a rest of a schedule. So yeah, it's those 5. It's exactly what Dan said.
Okay, just to be the contrarian, I agree with 80% of what you said. So 4 of your 5, right? I really agree with your 5, but I just can't do it a trifecta that way. So I'm going to say Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Texas Tech is my 5th stone cold lock team to make it. Okay? Their quarterback's back. They're set. They're ready to go. And
Listen,
BYU might surprise.
I think they'll beat BYU this weekend.
Okay.
Especially with the quarterback being back, like you're talking about.
Right. So let me push you a little bit further. You gave me your 5 stone cold locks. Give me your 5 Yeah, I think right now they're safe, but they could step on the proverbial banana peel on the sidewalk and slip and
All right.
fall and not make it. Who are your next five?
Let me start off with that.
You want to go first this time?
Yeah, I don't want to. Dan's gonna say the same answer as me. I gotta start first this time. My proverbial step on the bananas. Georgia, of remaining schedule. BYU, undefeated right now, but they're probably gonna have to play Texas Tech twice, and I think they lose this weekend. Oregon. I think out of those Big Ten teams that are like on the edge, I think the Oregon's probably gonna be the favorite. However, they do have a tough schedule. They're a step on banana. Notre Dame, also a step on banana. I think that, like we saw with these conference rankings, looks it looks like the committee does value what Notre Dame does, and USC just keeps on winning. Especially if USC comes up the Big Ten, I think Notre Dame's pretty much on the right path. And then my last lock, banana team. Sorry, not lock. Banana team is actually Louisville and not Virginia. And that's simply because I think Louisville is a better team. So
Damn. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that was slipped. Maybe I can edit it out. I don't know. But yeah, Dan, I'm going to skip you this time because that was my 5 too. I would have done the same 5. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
yeah.
Dan, how about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's see, Georgia. We haven't talked about the Georgia Tech game. We have in previous weeks, but they're still gonna play that last week of the season. And Georgia Tech may not be undefeated anymore, but they still have a possibility. They're a good team. And then we already talked about the Georgia Texas game coming up, so that'll be a very big game as well. Let's see, BYU, Texas Tech, like you guys said, Oregon, and Virginia.
You're taking Virginia over Louisville right now?
Yeah, it's it's confusing with their non-conference loss to a conference opponent. But Notre Dame, I'm worried about them. I think that even though they're number 10, they're kind of locked in the playoff right now. They're not in control of their own destiny. Like I said earlier, Michigan them if they beat Ohio State. There are other teams, maybe Utah, if they somehow beat Georgia and Texas A&M. And Notre Dame's schedule is not as easy as you think. Like we already talked about, Pitt, scary. Yeah.
Oh, gee, Dan, come on. Come on, Dan. Man, you are a homer of all homers, Dan. Come on. You're worse than Anwar and me with Ohio State.
I'm saying Pitt's a good team. Pitt could come and beat them. Notre Dame usually has one of those Marshall losses or some loss to a team they shouldn't lose to. And I mean, they lost their first 2 games. Those are good teams. They haven't lost to a.
They kind of had that game last week against Boston College. I think that maybe last week was that game where it's like, oh, but I think they've already taken care of that requirement with the terrible game against a trash team once a year. Yeah.
There's one team that, could throw. I'm going to throw this out there. I see one team that could mess up a lot of things for everybody. And they are a very prideful bunch. And I look at Texas because they got Tamu and Georgia. Okay? And Texas is starting to look, well, last week again.
Looking better.
Yeah, it looked really good. It got the talent.
Yeah.
Manning seems like he straightened it out. Could Texas knock off both Texas A&M at the end of the season? This is like Michigan and Ohio State. It doesn't matter, right? It's a rivalry game. This second year renewal, and then Georgia. And I got to tell you, Georgia, man, that referee that they just banned from the SEC, who also had the Ohio State Clemson game that year when I'll say it, we should have gone to the championship, and I thought we were good enough to beat LSU that year. And then they would be talking about Ohio State was the best team of the early century. Anyway, I know I'll probably get some pushback from some of the viewers on that, but he's banned. And he's the one when Kirby Smart recently said, "Oh, I was trying to call timeout," even though he wasn't calling timeout, and Georgia got the game. So I think that it's going to be interesting down the stretch. Guys, we need to bring this home because we're running a little bit longer than what we thought. Real quick, 1 minute. Memphis Tulane, who you got, Anwar?
Memphis Tulane. Oof. Give me Memphis. Give me Memphis. I just think that mainly because now their focus is shifted to we're trying to make a playoff. I think that just that enough motivation is just enough to get.
Dan, who you got? Memphis Tulane.
I'll go Tulane.
Anwar, who you got? Indiana, Penn State. How big or not how big?
Okay, so with Indiana, they're one of these type of teams that loves to run up the score on people, and I think it's because it's this little brother syndrome that they have. Was they still think that nobody respects us, even though people clearly do respect them now. So also they're kind of in this like one-off thing with Ohio State. Indiana beats Illinois by 45. Ohio State only beats them by like 30 or whatever. Like it's one of those things where like if we have a common opponent with Ohio State, we got to beat them by more than Ohio State did. So I think they'll run Penn State out the building, just as Ohio State could have. Ohio State could have beat Penn State by way more than they wanted to.
Dan, Indiana, Penn State. Sorry, Anwar, by a lot. Okay, Anwar. We'll start with Dan this time, so we don't get such a long answer. Dan, Missouri has Temu. What you think? First off, let's before you get started on that, Dan.
Sure.
Rabola's out, and that freshman looked pretty good last week when he came in.
Yeah. I mean, even if Texas A&M, even if Missouri was fully healthy, I think.
Okay, Anwar, Texas A&M, Mizzou.
You know what? Let me go out on a limb this time. First of all, I previously said that Texas A&M is a lock, and I still think they are. But forget it. Let's go Mizzou this game, like you were talking about. They still have one of the best running backs in the country, and this is super out on a limb, but maybe Mizzou is just trying to fight to keep their playoff hopes alive. So, and I feel like Texas A&M is bound for a loss in the regular season. So give me Mizzou. I feel like Texas A&M still comes back and beats Texas at the end of the year, though.
Okay. We're down to the final two. Let's go. Texas Tech, BYU. Dan, who you got?
All right. I think that Texas Tech is going to win this game, but I think.
Okay. Anwar, who you got? Texas Tech, BYU.
Give me Texas Tech. I still have fraud sensors out on BYU, so give me Texas Tech.
Okay, and here we go. Let's bring it on home. We got Oregon, Iowa. Whoa, where is that game? Oregon, Iowa. I forgot to check and see where that game's at. Does anybody know? Let me pull it up real quick. If it's in Oregon, Big Ten. Uh-oh. All right. I'm going to save you for the last. Dan, who you got? Oregon, Iowa. Remember, this is for potentially for the fourth spot from the Big Ten in the playoffs.
I think Iowa's.
It's a big game. Okay, Anwar?
See, okay, I kind of wanted to be edgy and pick like one upset, so I chose Missouri, but I probably we're doing this game. I actually truly think Iowa will beat Oregon. So I'm going to take back my Missouri pick, and I'm going to go back to Texas A&M. I actually think the Iowa night game at Kinnick Stadium is going to be loud, it's going to be rocking, it's going to be cold. And also, Iowa's offense is one of the most under-talked thing about this season. This massive improvement they made in their offense. Give me the Hawkeyes.
Oh, you know what, guys? Having gone to Iowa, I've been to Iowa probably about 3 or 4 times. And the last time I went there, we were Ohio State. When I say we, Ohio State was number 1 in the country, and they put a beat down on us, man. Playing at Kinnick at night when people wave to the kids up in the cancer center, and the fans are so nice to you until the game starts. That place gets crazy, man. I am telling you. Oregon, get ready to take a butt whooping. Okay, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning into our show. If you like our content, subscribe, and share. You know, we get lots of views, but you guys aren't signing up and subscribing. So, listen, we are going to save a big treat for the end of the year. If you subscribe right now, we will send you, well, you can go to our website and download the recipe for Miss Renee's the Barber's special Ohio State Buckeyes. That is some really good eating. It's a great dessert that she's going to prepare for us prior to the Michigan game, and you guys can get that recipe and make it while you watch the Ohio State Michigan football game. And guess what? I am no longer, that week, I will not be saying I will be using the team up north. All right, guys. Thank you for the show. Thank you for being here. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.
All right.
That's for us old heads. That's Batman. That's what they used to say at the end of the show. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I did not know that.
No, you weren't born. You weren't born. I was like 9 or 10, okay? See you guys next week.
All right.
Peace.